Everybody, Lisa here again with another Vera Bradley bag of the day. I wanted to jump on to do another video today because uh, not only is it the first day of spring, per my previous video, but it is also National Quilting Day. And so I thought, I know in my other video I had already had my bag packed up. It was Penelope's Garden Large Glenna, because I had had it packed up, so I just left it like that for the video. But I transferred it all to what I'm going to carry today. Can never get my directions right on video. To my, I thought I would go over, show all the quilting patterns. There are only three. Well, there are more. But I mean, three recent ones, two of which were done in conjunction with QuiltCon. So those are the ones I'm talking about. So I thought I would use my Quilt Floral today, in honor of the day, and talk about the two other recent quilting patterns. This was the first pattern done in conjunction with QuiltCon, which I believe was done in 2019, and I don't think they're doing it this year. I don't know if QuiltCon even happened, or if it already happened. I'm not sure. I feel like it would happen in February or March if it happened. But a bunch of us in the focus group were wondering about it, and some people went to the QuiltCon website and reported back that they didn't see any information there about a tie-in with Vera, so that's kind of disappointing. I know a whole bunch of us there in the my ponytail hurts. Sorry. A whole bunch of us there in the group were really looking forward to, the next collaboration, the next quilting pattern, and so it was kind of disappointing to feel like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. But this was the first one, and I don't know what happened when this one released, because I was aware of it releasing, but I just sort of didn't get, I don't know why, I just didn't really pay attention. I know everyone was going kind of crazy for it, and I was like, eh. And then, maybe it was, I don't know how many months later, maybe even a year later, where I just became sort of fixated on it and really bummed that I hadn't gotten it, and became like this major unicorn for me. And I don't think I ever really even would have found it if someone hadn't reached out to me. I had mentioned that it was a big unicorn for me when I was doing a video on the second QuiltCon collaboration, and someone reached out to me on Facebook and said she wanted to sell hers because I guess she had bought it, but she decided she wasn't really that into it, and so it was still new with tags and everything. She'd never used it, and that's how I got this. And I'm still so grateful to that woman for reaching out to me. And I hesitated at first because the time the annual sale was still scheduled, and someone was going to that and offered to look around there for me to see if they had any of this there. And so I was hesitating, thinking, okay, well, this other person is going to be looking for me. But then I thought, don't risk it. So I went back to the woman. I said, yeah, I'll take it. So, it's just a beautiful pattern. It just looks like a big patchwork quilt. All these different, it's not different pieces sewn together. It's one big printed piece pattern made to look like different pieces of fabric put together. And it's just gorgeous, gorgeous colors. That lavender and pink and gray, that combo with the bits of the like sort of aubergine kind of the deep purple eggplant kind of color. It just really combined well, and the denim trim just looks great. It was this bag with the denim trim that actually, I was glad I got to see a bag with denim trim because it's offered in the custom options, and I don't know that I ever would have been brave enough to take a chance to get a bag with it because I wasn't sure what it would look like, and this let me see how good that looks. The denim trim really looks nice. It's just very nice. It's like it's like getting black trim, but it's a little bit softer than black microfiber. Just has a sort of a soft color to it. So just very pleased with this, and I won't you know, I won't go over everything that's in my bag, but I do have a couple of new things in there because it's all the usual suspects in there. And you can get a lot in the Vera tote. Obviously, it's a huge bag. But I do have just two new things, which is everyone knows I like the turn lock. So I had ordered this. This is the first time I'm using it. Bonbon Medallion turn lock wallet, which I had, when the pattern came out, I'm sorry for the dog chewing noises, all of a sudden I became very aware of them. Keeps them from chewing each other's faces off on camera though. When this pattern first came out, I had thought, oh, I'll want the turn lock in this. And then I just sort of forgot all about it, or I was buying other things and I felt like I had to budget. And then, of course, it sort of disappeared from the website. And I had to, I can't remember where I got this from, Paper Store or Occasionally Yours maybe. And so I couldn't pick pattern placement, which I was a little bummed about because I'm not crazy about the pattern placement on the front. I do like it on the back. It feels more swirly on the back. I feel like I got these sort of more curvy, you know, elements there on the back than I did on the front. But, you know, it's not worth it to me to return it, bother with returning it. So keeping it. So that's something different. And I also... Well, I switched from my Carson cell phone crossbody because this felt more spring-like. I switched to my French paisley, so that felt good to do. And it was all in the purples, all the purple family. But I did, and I've showed this in a recent video, the New Hope Girls mini zip pouch. And I did switch out. I usually carry the mini dome for my tissues, and there's also some lip balms in there. This isn't plastic lined, but I feel like I haven't had any accidents with these lip balms, so I think I'm probably safe. So I fit really well in here, and this is the mini. You see that monkey there, and it's got the cockatoo on the back. Just love this pattern. I love the very saturated colors in this, and it almost has this, reminds me of Rousseau. If people are familiar with the painter Rousseau and his scenes with all that sort of jungle foliage and figures in those kind of environments, very sort of dreamlike. So I said that in my previous video about this pattern, is dreamlike, but it definitely reminds me of Rousseau. So I'm so pleased with this, and I did order a couple more mini pouches because I just feel like they're useful, and the larger ones are sold out, and I just wanted to give the organization a little bit more money. So I ordered this direct on their website. Everything else in here is pretty much the same. Oh, you can sort of see how the lanyard. And I do think this fabric was one of the fabrics you get if you ordered one of the patchwork pouches. Let's see, the lanyard kind of relates a little bit here. You can see that sort lacy line work on some of the leaves. Kind of looks related to this. And this big tropical leaf, the shapes. It's the same kind of leaf. Some of the leaves there are kind of the same here. And the colors coordinate, you know. So it's kind of a nice combo. So that's that. And so, just to show real quick, because it's quilting day, this was the second QuiltCon Vera Bradley collaboration. This is Quilt Floral. This one was, it was Cloud Vine Patchwork. And this was the first one I got. That's why I sort of, you know, I realized I had missed the first one. I didn't want to let that happen with the second one. And I was thinking, you know, going forward, it's just going to be a thing. And it's going to keep happening. And I'll have this great collection of quilt bags. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. So it's kind of disappointed. I finally sort of get started. And then there don't seem to be following through in that for whatever reason. I do like this bag, and I live in a state where there's like an Amish country. There's like, I'm very close to like Amish country here. As I said before, I always make the joke, but it's not really a joke. It's funny because it's true. If I get in my car and I drive 5 minutes west, I'm in the movie Witness. So, you see quilts everywhere, and local country stores and quilt fairs and other fairs. And so it seems very natural to me to be carrying around a bag in this area that has a quilt motif. And this is very nice because it makes use of that kind of star motif. I had to order this sight unseen, and I ordered a couple and returned. I definitely ordered 2. I may have ordered 3. And I returned the other 2. I picked this one because it had the least amount of like the noticeable H shape, and it had more of these star shapes, and it was aligned. The H shape is this thing. It's almost like the negative space. It's like they use this sort of denim looking fabric. I mean, this is all one piece. Again, this is all one piece made to look like a quilt top. But, that for some reason they have these sections that look very denim-like, and they're very dark, and they're very dominant. You can see the star again there. So I feel like these almost advance more, and these almost recede when you see them together. It's unfortunate that this is what my eye anyway pulls out, the H shape, rather than the star. So that's a little frustrating. So I was glad that, on the front, you can see it there too. But I feel like it's a little less dominant on the front of the bag. So I went with this one. Also, it was aligned nicely. With any pattern that has strong vertical and horizontal lines, you want the bag to be constructed like those lines so that those lines are level. You don't want them sort of listing this way, because then you'll be able to see it as it relates to the edges of the bag and the straps of the bag. So like this strip here wouldn't be an even width because it would be, sort of listing crooked as it relates to the strap. And it's very noticeable. And so with any of these quilting patterns, that's something I'm always hyper focused on, because I will not keep a bag that looks completely askew, like it wasn't put together well. Just makes the bag look poor quality. And so I felt like this one was good in that way. Nothing is too tilted as it relates to the edges of the bags and the seams of the bags and whatever. So again, this was Cloudvine's Patchwork, and people, I'm sure recognize, this is sort of, just different colors from the regular Cloudvine's pattern that was released, that sort of minty green color scheme. This is a little bit more blue, a little bit more teal. Very pleased with this. And this looks great with jeans, and it looks good with red. I always tend to want to carry this when I'm wearing a red shirt. It looks really good. Really pops well. And then I just thought I would mention this recent special edition, which was the Persistence Patchwork, done to commemorate the anniversary of women white women getting the right to vote. So again, you see those kind of dominant H kind of shapes. They're really going with it. But I did want this. I wanted to have if they're going to do anything with quilting, I wanted to sort of build up this part of the Vera collection where I get all these quilt patterns if I like them, and I do like them. I don't like that H thing, but I do like them. I like the star motif, and I like these big squares, with this sort of star, these other fabrics. If they had been fabrics, again, it's all one piece, printed to look like multiple pieces of fabric, printed to look like a quilt top, a pieced quilt top. If they had chosen some different, maybe to make these sections a little bit more different in color, the star motif would have popped out a little bit more. So it would have been interesting to see what other, if there were any other color versions that they were playing with before they decided on this one, it would be interesting to see. But I thought it was nice to get those 4 big squares of the French paisley. That's the French paisley pattern. People probably recognize it just with a navy background here and some other color changes. It wasn't just the background that was changed when they used this fabric, this pattern here. They also changed some of the colors within the pattern too. So it's interesting to compare them. But when I saw this, and I did see this in the store, I saw that the squares were nice, and also 2 of them on the front had birds in them. I thought, God, what are the odds? Better grab that while I'm seeing it. There's one. And there's another one there. And then, of course, there are birds in these strips of, these vertical strips here, which is the French ditzy, the lining of French paisley. So you get these strips here. And they also have birds. Again, this is another one of these bags where you can see what I'm talking about with the vertical lines. So, this creates quite an obvious vertical line. All of these, there's a strong vertical column kind of component, and these give you the horizontal component, in this pattern. And so sometimes when the bag is constructed in a more askew kind of way, those strips are not level. They're not 100% vertical like the straps are, and they don't look parallel to the straps. They look crooked in comparison to the straps, depending on how the fabric is sewn up. And it looks sloppy. And it happens also, I've seen so many of these bags that look like that. It was hard to find one where that wasn't so noticeable. It's not perfect on this bag, but it's minimized. That aspect is minimized. So even the horizontal elements, are sort of horizontal with the lip of the pocket and the zipper and the top of the bag, so that this thin strip here, is parallel to the top edge of the bag, so it doesn't look crooked. The fabric doesn't look crooked, sewn together crooked. That was so key for me. I wasn't going to buy any bag that looked crooked, because it just looks like sloppy construction then, and it just ruins the whole look of the bag to me. So I was pleased with this one. So Persistence Patchwork, and this has a neat lining too, because it's sort of mimicking the guidelines you see on some cutting boards. If people sew, they probably know that. This lining looks familiar. And this has a nice channel stitching. The other 2 bags have the regular square quilting, but this has the channel stitching. And I'm always talking, whenever I mention the channel stitching, about how it really affects the drape of the bag and the feel of the bag. So this has a real soft, lived-in feel right out of the package, which is nice. You can see the difference there in the quilting stitch work. This just really is a softer, more malleable bag. It kind of flops a little bit like that, more readily. But yeah, it doesn't. It's not too floppy. It's not flopping so much that it looks bad, saggy or anything. Some people have in various Vera groups that I'm in, people complaining that their bags, their Vera totes, sag, especially at the top. And I think that has to do with the lining, maybe how they're loading up their bag, and the lining is sort of pulling the top of the bag down. I've never had any problems with my Vera bags becoming misshapen in that way at the top, or buckling or anything like that. They all hold their shape real well for me. I don't know if that has to do with the way I'm storing them, or the way I'm loading them up when I use them. Or it's just that, I have so many that I'm rotating so much that none of them are getting overused. So anyway, but that was it for National Quilt Day. We have Persistence Patchwork, and that was 2020. The first QuiltCon, Quilt Floral, 2019, I think. And last year's 2020's Cloud Vines Patchwork for National Quilting Day. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully see you next time on Vera Bradley Bag of the Day. Oh my gosh, don't do that. Don't do that.